11 is now in session. I'm joined by my colleagues, Mr. Koretz, Mr. Parks, and Mr. Weezer. And I'm Bill Rosendahl, Chair, so there are 4 out of the 5 here. The meeting is now in order. Could we, colleagues, look at, and I will ask the clerk to read it for the record, and we have a couple of cards for item number 6, and item number 6 is part of, so we'll do them too, but 1, 2, 3, and 4, I'd like your support on consent. There's no controversies or issues over that, or people wanting to speak.
I've got a couple corrections for the record. For item number 1, it's actually PPD number 149, and for item number 6, it's actually PPDs number 72 and 112.
Okay, so item number 1, 2, 3, and 4 at this point. Colleagues, do I have somebody to move it forward?
So moved.
So moved by Mr. Koretz.
Second.
Second by Mr. Weezer. In favor, all 4? Okay, great. That's 4 out of the 5 for here. Okay, so now we have item number 6. Let's get this quickly done and ask Dr. Clive Williams to come up and Suzanne Davis-Taylor. Come on up for a second. Since you came here, fill out a card. Dr. Williams is a regular.
Okay, hi.
If I can just read into the record, the item is number 6, which is a Labange Koretz motion instructing DOT to report with recommendations for expanding the restrictions of PPDs number 72 and 112 for the neighborhood surrounding Runyon Canyon Park.
Great.
Thank you very much. I want to thank you for
Name for
listening.
the record.
Oh, my name for the record is Susan Davis-Taylor, and I live at Gardner and Franklin Street up by Runyon Canyon. And I want to just stress how important this is to our neighborhood, because we are a neighborhood with lots of families and young kids, and the constant traffic from Runyon has become quite dangerous. I videotaped 3 weeks ago on a Sunday evening 31 cars going through the intersection on that corner. In 9 minutes, 21 of those cars ran the stop signs there. So I think having this restricted parking on the weekend and lowering the traffic to Runyon through our neighborhood would be greatly beneficial to the safety of the children and the families in the neighborhood.
Beautiful. Thank you for your comment.
Sure.
Oh, please.
Thank you. I'm just curious, read something about this place in other than our notes we got. An issue was raised, well, what about folks who want to visit the other areas that we have, people who live there, we want to protect their convenience of having lived there, et cetera, but there's other folks who want to visit. How would you respond? Visit the nearby park, I think it is, or?
Yeah, you mean visiting, are you, just to clarify, are you saying to visit the people living in the neighborhood or to visit the park?
Visit the park.
How
would you respond to that?
How would I respond to it? I mean, in a broader scheme, a parking lot, I think, is appropriate at Runyon, really. We have 50,000 people visiting every week. There's no toilets, and I know the city doesn't have money. There's no toilets, there's no parking for them, and it's what started as a small neighborhood park is totally out of control now. So on a grander scheme, it needs to be seriously addressed as a safety issue, as it's sort of like run as a rogue, lawless park up there. But I understand that I'm not trying to stop people from visiting it. It needs to be organized and maintained.
Thank you.
Did that answer your question?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Dr. Williams.
A little bit more generality. Parks and parking. We have a lot of problems in every one of the parks. In recreation centers, it's even more compounded because there's usually an inadequate parking area. So can we get the DOT and maybe the Park Department to do a review of parking availability for major areas such as Runyon Canyon, Griffith Park, Debs Park, a few others? And there's also a matter that these are issues of neighborhoods. And one of the issues I always bring up is community impact reports or statements, none submitted. Can we have some of these parking, especially the preferential parking and or park related parking reviewed by the neighborhood councils. Last night, we had 2 issues on our neighborhood council land use planning committee meeting. And I say they came in, gave us a presentation, we reviewed it, made comments, and said, okay, where's your resolution? Give us a draft resolution as to what you need and when you need it. So we can cooperate, but I say in most cases, all of these parking issues, which are really neighborhood issues, have never been seen or even probably heard by most of the neighborhood councils. And given a 30-day, 60-day clock for us to review and make comments, the community impact statement system is kind of a non-starter. That's all.
Well, thank you, Dr. Williams. Appreciate both of you. Stay there because you're going to come back on public comment. Do I have a motion to move forward with this, Mr. Weezer?
Yes.
Okay, so moved. Second, Mr. Parks. It's unanimous. Thank you. We will continue with that. Appreciate you coming.
Thank you. I appreciate your time, and I appreciate your attention to this matter.
My pleasure. Safety is our number one concern, and I appreciate it.
John White, City Clerk. Mr. Rosendahl, did you approve the motion recommendation, or did you continue it for further consideration in committee?
What's that?
The motion before you for number 6, it wasn't clear to me what action you took.
No. 1, 2, 3,
Right.
4, and 6.
Are you approving number 6?
Yes, we are.
Thank you.
We just did that. Right.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, before we go to item number 5, there is one public comment card, and it's Dr. Williams, and he didn't need him to get up and come down, so go ahead. You go for it.
Okay, thank you. Just wanted to announce that a major project has been circulated for its environmental impact report by the Harbor Department. That is the Southern California International Gateway Project, which is a railroad transfer facility for trucks. We're quite interested in this, and I don't know how the Transportation Committee will be involved, if they will be involved, and whether there will be a 245 to bring it to the General Council. One of the issues here is kind of a total rethinking of the entire South transportation system. That is, if you put it on BNSF 4 miles away, you don't need the I-710 South expansion project. How does this affect all of the other parts of LA City's transportation facilities, such as the 110, the 105, the 710, Pacific Coast Highway? All of these things seem to be involved, and we're reviewing the SCIG during the next 90 days. Just a notice of its circulation. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that. Appreciate it. We now have left on the agenda item number 6.
Or 5. Item number 5.
Oh, I'm sorry. Forgive me. 5.
Item number 5 is a Garcetti-Rosendahl motion relative to the use of $200,000 from the Mobile Source Air Pollution Reduction Fund for Ciclovia program expenditures for FY 11-12.
We have one public comment card, Joe Linton. Joe?
Yes, thank you, Councilman Rosendahl. And my name is Joe Linton, and I'm here with Ciclovia. We are, I think most of you are familiar. Many of you have been to it. We're a big car-free event. We attracted about 80,000 people last April. We're doing an expanded route of 10 miles this fall and in a week and a half on October 9th. We're looking at another event in April next year, and we're actually looking at additional routes in other parts of the city starting late next year, probably next fiscal year. So Ciclovia is about health, about local business, about green transportation, and really about public space and having Angelinos meet each other in the street in the city. And I think it really opens people's eyes up to new modes of getting around, and so I'm grateful for the motion for allocating these mobile source reduction funds to do an event that really that encourages people to try cleaner modes of transportation, bicycling, walking, and transit. I have flyers. If anybody wants some, I'll give some to the clerk, and you can, if anybody needs more, you can let me know. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Joe. Appreciate it. Could we have staff come up and take us through this? Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Janice Chang from the Office of the CAO. Before you, you have a report from our office responding to the request that was placed in the 2011-12 budget process to allocate $200,000 in mobile source special fund towards the Ciclavia program. What we did was identify $200,000 available from the cash balance in the mobile source fund. These are from prior year amounts. Originally during the budget process, all of the 11-12 amounts were appropriated, were budgeted, and so we could not at the time find funding for this program. But we went back and looked at some of the prior year funds, and we identified $200,000. And our recommendation today is to move $200,000 into a fund titled Air Quality Education and Outreach within the fund, and those funds can be used for the Ciclavia program, the upcoming one, or any future ones. And it can also be used for education and outreach that targets mobile sources of air pollution reduction.
Questions, Mr. Parks? Mr. Weezer?
This is for the one event. Last year, there was two Ciclavia events, but this is just for one this year?
It does not identify just the one event. It could be used for future events, but the recommendation is
Any
that...
future events?
We think it'll cover,
It's okay. Just introduce yourself for the record again when you answer that.
Sorry, Joe Linton, and this is Ciclavia is a public-private partnership, and the city covers city services, and the Ciclavia nonprofit covers a lot of outreach and event production stuff. So the city budget, and Yana Gomez is here, we've been working with, varies a little bit, and we don't know until after the event exactly what it is, but it's been running between 100 and 150 per event. This one's a little bit longer, so we think it'll be a little bit more.
Oh, I see.
We might be able to use some of the prior traffic plans, so that might be cheaper.
And are you planning, how many events are you planning this year?
Two events this fiscal year, October and April.
And this fiscal year, okay. So
We-
April, you're going to come back again for additional support?
We think this will, depending on the costs for October, there may be some, we think this will cover all of October, and that there will be some left, and if it's enough, great for April, great. If it's not, we may need to come back.
Okay.
I think it's important for the CAO that we may not, there's not additional money available to do that, so. if you
Yes,
want-
to clarify, the fund allows for up to 10% to be allocated towards public education and outreach. The 10% amount would be $464,000 for this year, although, as I mentioned earlier, all the funds were budgeted in the 2011-12 budget, and so we were able to find from prior year funds $200,000, but we may be unable to find additional money this year, because we do, from this fund, yes.
And if I can just jump into, we are, the mayor's office and the nonprofit are getting like outside sponsorship dollars and stuff, and so some of that money has gone to cover city costs, but the majority has been non-general fund city funds that have been transferred for Ciclavia.
Yeah, just thank you for doing this. This is a spectacular event. We participated first one, and we'll participate again. And thanks for also covering part of my district in Boyle Heights, where a lot of folks were really excited about it, continue to be so.
Mr. Koretz? Okay, we have a motion to move forward with this. So moved, unanimous by committee. Thank you so much for coming before us. Appreciate again, Joe, your work.
Mr. Rosendahl, one more bit of housekeeping. The CA report that was been asked to approve isn't referenced on the agenda, so if you just say approve CA report, that'll close our action on this.
So approved.
Thank you.
Approve the report. Happy New Year to everyone, and have a great night as well. Thank you. Meeting is adjourned. Jewish New Year now.
Jewish New Year?
Today.
Yeah.
Dr. Tourette's will fill you in on the particular one. It's the year